Welcome everyone to EEU 2021. Woo! It's so good to see old faces and new faces. And we also want to just welcome not just our Melbourne family here, but those in Brisbane and Perth. Hello, welcome. We can't see you, but I'll just wave. Welcome to our conference. It's been a long time coming. For obvious reasons, we didn't have EEU last year, but we did have the webinars online. Did anyone here join the webinars online? Yeah. So by God's grace and mercy, we can afford to have it at the moment, even though it's a bit different. You know, we're all wearing masks and we're all not in the same city and in different churches. But it's good to still gather together just with any opportunity, and we know that God is still working regardless of these physical limitations. So EEU this year, the theme talk is the mission of God from Genesis to Revelation. This is our third EEU, so the first one was in 2018, also in the same building, where we just had main talks and ministry strands. And then we had our first Bible strand in 2019. Who remembers the theme for 2019? Do you guys remember? Megan's whispering? The living word, yeah, that's right. Good job, Megan. So that did happen in 2019 in Brisbane. So we are continuing the theme. So the vision for EU, it is inspired by a conference in the Philippines and also different training conferences. And the vision just for EU is for our church leaders and youth in the Chinese Methodist Church to be trained and to be equipped, to be Bible-loving, mission-minded, and gospel-centered Christians. So in 2019, we looked at the Bible-loving aspects, the living word, sufficiency of scriptures. This year, we're looking at the mission of God from Genesis to Revelation. I just want to also welcome Ricky, who's in our midst. Do you want to give us a wave? He'll be one of the main speakers alongside Devin, and they will be sharing the theme talks for this conference. So EU obviously stands for Edify, Equip, Unite, and there's a few components that makes up this conference, and I'll be talking through that. But before we do that, I just want to share a bit of a personal experience of EU. It's been so beneficial, I think, from the previous ones I've attended. The things like unpacking the Word of God, reading the context, the chapter before and after, and finding out the big idea has really helped me in my own personal life, in youth group, in Bible study preparations, and also things from the ministry strands like learning, the wisest way to pick a song, and different things like associating or learning how to associate with people of different cultures have all really been beneficial. And I think the one thing that always amazes me is just seeing people from different backgrounds, different churches, different cities coming together and worshiping God together in one voice. And it's in those moments where I'm like, yeah, this is a glimpse of heaven. This is what a Christian community should look like. And we're very blessed to have this conference and the team involved. I just want to give a shout out to them. So we do have Amos, who is basically our driver and our leader for the conference. So thank you, Amos, for all your hard work, and hello in Brisbane. We do have a few in Melbourne. So we have Edward in the background, Elijah and Laura. Thank you, guys. And we also have the hardworking Dowling in Perth, who will be joining us. And they are holding fort in those cities, so thank you guys. All right, let's look at the different programs. So if you guys can turn to the booklets. If you can turn to page 6, I think, for both booklets. We do have 2 different strands, and there's 2 different booklets. So the first thing I want to talk about is the Bible strands, which forms the main part. They're all really important, but this is a really important part called Bible strands. And there are 2 strands this year. So strand 1 is for the newcomers, and strand 2 is for the continuing participants who have done strand 1. So Bible strands basically help us to be equipped with handling the Word of God. And eventually we can learn to teach the Word of God to our respective ministries. So strand 1, you guys will be looking at handling the Word of God rightly. And strand 2 is the big picture of the Bible from the beginning to the end. And there's also other strands in the future, so strand 3 and strand 4, with different focuses in each strand. If you guys don't know what strand you are, there is a list on the door, on the glass door, and I think throughout the church. And also, strand 1 will be held in the annex, just through the doors there, and then strand 2 will be the nursery room. And obviously, for those in Brisbane and Perth, I think you guys are all in one room, I'm assuming. But your leaders will bring you through that. So ministry strands is also a really exciting component. So that allows us to be equipped with practical ways and topics in ministry. If you guys want to turn to pages, if you have the strand 2 booklet, it's page 64. If it's the strand 1 booklet, it's page 42. And then we'll go through the different topics that the various speakers will be touching on. So from choosing our church leaders to Asian Australians and Christianity to love for the lost. So this will happen, there'll be one ministry strand a day. We also have our main talks, so Devin and Ricky will be in charge of the main theme talks, and they will be bringing us through the overarching theme of the mission of God. And that will be in your program as well. And then there's free time, which might be a really exciting one for some of you. So free time, basically, we know that this conference is quite intensive. It's 12 hours a day for 5 days. So if you guys want to rest, feel free to even leave the church if you want to go for a walk. There is a cafe down the road that's about 10 minutes walk if you guys want to go there. But use that time wisely. These relationships that you make here can lead to something really valuable. So you want to take your time to reflect with them, to talk with them. Or otherwise, feel free to just rest and take a break as well. Just make sure you come back on time. So because we are live streaming to Brisbane and Perth, we do want to make sure things are run on time. So we also want to treat you guys as adults, come, be punctual, clean up after yourselves, and things like that. Second lastly, there is ministry implementation. So it literally just means how to implement things into ministry. This is a time for us to reflect based on some questions in the booklet. So you can turn to, if you're strand 2, pages 74 to 78. If you're strand 1, it's pages 52 to 56. So there will be questions, and we'll be breaking up into groups to talk through and reflect on your own ministry and how to implement the things that you're learning at EEU into your ministry. So that's also a really good time to discuss and share our struggles and brainstorm for your ministries. Also, on Wednesday night and Thursday night, we have Q&A, okay? We'll have the screen up shortly. So if you guys can, try and scan that code today or throughout the conference. This is your code that leads you to the Q&A website called Slido, right? If you want to scan it now, that's cool. We'll bring up the slide again later on. So on Slido, this is where you can answer questions that you have throughout the conference, questions from the talks, the ministry strands, even the Bible strands. If you guys do that, and then we'll go through a demo. Yep. Okay, so this is what it should look like on your phone. And just type in your questions, but please specify what strand or what topic it is. So, for example, what would you type, Jono? Yep, ministry strand. And then you just type out your question. Hello, Word. You can choose to put your name. If not, you can remain anonymous. And once you post your question, yep, it should look like that. All right. If you want to vote a question, meaning it's something that you really want answered, just click on the thumbs up button. And then our team will sort through the questions and hopefully have your question answered on either the Wednesday night or the Thursday night. Yeah, there you go. So that's the Q&A. How are we all going? Good? That's good. I'll be doing some more housekeeping stuff later, but now I want you guys to turn to which page? We're going to have some time of sharing, right? Because you guys all just came to the church. Some of you know each other, some of you don't. But we'll have a time of sharing where we go through some questions to get to know each other better and our churches and what we do better. So it will be on page 8 and 9. Yep, pages 8 and 9. And there'll be some questions to help us, prepare ourselves for EU and get to know each other better. So if you guys want to just gather in groups of, 3 to 5, if you have a smaller group interstate, feel free to gather into smaller groups. But yeah, we're just going to head into a segment of just sharing, getting to know each other. So if you guys can gather into groups of 3 to 5 and ask each other these questions, we will come back